Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. As should we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be talking about, I don't know, stuff. Stuff. I don't know what that was. The image I had in there is this, like a sort of like teen movie or whatever. We've got like the landline cord phones. I'm like twirling it in my hand. Stuff. Not really a thing which happens anymore, I suppose, with the advent of group calls and all that. Like, I feel like I was definitely a bit too young for the sort of landline call generation. But hello, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 5:05 p.m. on Saturday, January 4th, 2025. I mean, landline phones are very much a thing of the past now. There's going to be a generation in future which will have never heard of them. But the only I even think now that if you said phone, I would not picture a landline phone. I would picture a mobile phone first and foremost. And probably that actually goes for most people, probably even people older than me at this point, unless you still have a landline phone. I haven't had a landline phone in it's probably not been a decade, I don't think, but it's certainly been a long time. And even, I'm trying to remember my landline phones from my youth. I guess this is what we're talking about today, but, I remember the first landline phone I had. Well, not I had, I guess my parents had as a child. When I was a child, sorry. So our family had, is perhaps the best way to put it. And it's a very sort of that odd beige colour, which sort of permeates a lot of very early 2000s, like late 90s, sort of furnishing. And I remember it because it has that very sort of coiled wire as well, which I'm not actually sure why those landline photos have a coiled wire. I assume it's because things can get twisted very easy, and a coiled wire withstands, like kinks and twists and stretches a lot better than just like a straight wire would. That can be my only assumption for it, but again, I don't actually know. But how many times have I used that landline phone? Like, as a child, not very many. There's not many people you really need to call when you're like less than 10 or whatever. Like, I didn't even call my friends. We just saw them in school. Actually, this is a thing. I forgot that one of my friends, he didn't live too far away from me, he gave me a walkie-talkie that he got for Christmas, and he had one and I had the other, and we used that to chat with each other sometimes. I don't remember how often we did that. We definitely did it at least a few times. I remember we were watching like some cartoon together or something. I can't remember what it was, to be honest. It was very sweet. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if I gave it back to him at some point. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But it's not something that permeated through the rest of primary school, mind you. Yeah, so that happened. That landline phone, the only other time I can remember using that landline phone is calling that same friend and then talking to his mother to be like, if I could join them for trick-or-treating. And she was like, yes, of course. Or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But I don't think there is another memory I have of using the landline phone when my mother was like using it to call someone. We had like obviously multiple landline phones in the house. I shouldn't say obviously, I guess that's not necessarily obvious, but we did. And then for some reason, I heard my mum on the phone and being like a 3-year-old child or whatever, being like, I want to do the same thing. So I picked up the phone as well and then also called I didn't say things like all the times. I would just sometimes be like, yes, or nah. And then at some point my mum was just like, what's going on? Walking around the house. Obviously you can't walk too far away because they're all like wired phones, and she's like, hold on. When she found me, she was like, hey, put that down. And I was like, alright. So that's what I remember. But then at some point we made the transition to like the wireless landline phone. It was just like a box set of 4 that we had, which I can still very clearly picture them in my mind and picture the feel in my hands of like holding it. But that was still like a landline phone. It wasn't like, didn't have a wired connection or anything. What it did, it had like one central phone, which had like a big hub, which had like the answering machine on it. Whoa, I know, crazy answering machine. And then there were like 3 smaller, just like charging port terminals of those landline phones, which I guess connected to the main hub somehow to call. I don't know. I used that a few times. Most of the time I used it it's not very interesting, it's to call the doctors, I suppose, if I needed like a GP appointment or something, or the dentist, I can't remember. I don't think I ever used it to call like my friends or something, because one, I didn't know what my friends' didn't know my friends' phone numbers. The times I would communicate with my friends were mostly on like the internet. I grew up in the age of like sort of like chat rooms, I suppose, and messaging platforms. and I used those before I got a mobile phone. Because I think it probably surprises people, at least because most people, I think, within my generation probably got their first phone, I'm going to say like around 12ish or above. Wow, we have like no bells on us right now. Probably even earlier for some people, because like the age that people started getting mobile phones, I think got earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier, as I understand it. It's weird me talking about this now as if it's like some old thing, but like presumably if you're like a teenager or something, this is like news to you, right? I must assume the average age for getting a mobile phone now must be like 7 or something, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because the phones are pretty good for being like the main purpose. Not the main purpose necessarily, I suppose, but one of from a parent's perspective, which is, I'm not a parent, but if I were a parent, I would give my child a phone just so I'd be like, you can contact me. Like, at the end of the day, you know, you're going to find a way to, you know, download games or whatever, or do stuff on phone. Just be reasonable with it, you know. It's your first little bit of independence, but I would want them to have a way to be able to contact me no matter what. And then I guess you could be like, okay, you could get them like a brick phone, or what's they call it dumb phones or something, aren't they? The ones which just have like no online capabilities and just for contact. And okay, maybe you can do that. But I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe if I'm a 7 I'd do that. But once I had like a preteen or something, I'd be like, yeah, okay, you know, I trust you enough to use the smartphone functionality for reasonable things. And like, I understand what it's like to be a teenager, you know. I'd be like, yeah, I would want a smartphone. Anyway, the point being, I had got a smartphone quite late. I got one when I was like 16, I think. No. Is that right? I got one in year 9, I think. So I would have been 14. Oh no, 15. 14 or 15. I can't remember if it's year 9 or year 10. Anyway, I got it pretty late. I did bring it to school because our school banned phones in school. I hope by now that's been lifted, because, you know, phones are pretty convenient. Certainly they should not be used during class, I would say, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, teenagers, if they're not going to pay attention in class that way, they're not going to pay attention in class a different way. So it's not really the phone's problem. It's probably my take on that. Yet again, I'm not a teacher, so maybe that's not my place to say. I'm probably thinking of like the best case scenarios is probably maybe a little bit too generous, all things considered, but whatever. Anyway, we weren't allowed phones in school, so that's probably like I never had a priority for one. And I knew my home phone number, so I would just, like, if I ever needed to call home, that's how I would do it. But yeah, that's all I necessarily remember. Like, I very rarely, like, used, like, I think I said this as well, I had, like, a really insanely expensive contract for my first phone for no apparent reason. It had, like, unlimited text and, like, quite a high number of minutes, and then I, like, proceeded to use none of it. And then for my next contract, I was like, okay, like, just put me on, like, the cheapest one. I barely text people. You might be like, why not? I just don't message people in general much, to be honest. People message me, and then I reply to them. But then I'm like, I'm not the one initiating a conversation a lot of the time. Well, through text message at least. Does that mean I don't like doing it? No, of course not. I do like doing it. It's just like, I don't know, I guess it doesn't cross my mind as much. Which I thought was a normal amount, but then, you know, seeing how much my friends message each other, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not the normal one in this situation. Fair enough. I guess maybe I'm not as used to it. Well, I don't know. Anyway, the long and short of it is I didn't really text my friends much, to be honest. I think it's probably because I got used to the messaging style thing. And the messaging style of apps is not very much like a leave a text and respond to it when you see it. It's very like, I'm online, message me while we're online, and then when I'm offline, we don't message anymore. So maybe that's why I built up that sort of thing, because I grew up with MSN Messenger. I never actually thought about that before, but that actually seems quite plausible. But anyway, so landline phones, I got a little bit sidetracked there. Definitely remember them when I was growing up. I am just about old enough to remember dial-up internet, but I was also like 4 when we had it. We were very young. I was very young, I think, when we actually switched over to broadband. I felt like reasonably early on in its infancy and like the masses. Because I remember dial-up internet, I remember the noises. Which basically, as I understand it, because even now, like, I've never really thought about technically how it works, but I think it's basically it uses the landline connection to connect to the internet. So you couldn't use a phone and the internet at the same time. All I remember, though, is a computer we had, like this old Windows Me family computer, when it connected to using the dial-up internet or whatever. Had like this like animation of like a phone and like a little package being sent through the phone. And the computer, and then back again, the phone, and the computer, and back again. That's all I remember of it. But I don't know. I feel like I have that very sort of tactile. I'm not sure visceral is the right word, because that makes it. That seems like quite a loaded word. But I have like a very clear memory in my mind of holding, not the initial landline phone. I remember what that feels like, to be honest, as well. That sort of hard, like plastic outside. But I'm thinking of the feel and the feel of the buttons as well on that secondary landline phone, because its shape I feel like is very distinctive in my mind as well. It's sort of like a half squashed semicircular prism. I don't know why I described it like that. It's grey. I think it was a BT landline phone, actually, now I think about it. I don't know if that means it was made by BT or something, but something just triggered in my mind about it. The sort of like silicone sort of feel of the buttons. And I think a reason is because I was the one who knew how to at least set the date and time on the phone. And then like if you set it on one of them, it would like sync up between all four of them. And then every time like daylight saving times came around, or if there was like a power cut or something, I would have to. Oh, that was what I was going to do. I was going to sell the shovel so I can actually buy the shovel, because I want the colourful shovel. I don't want the floral print one. So favourite it, replace this one. Sorry, floral print shovel. You're gone. Oh yeah, I should actually start clearing out the rest of my Animal Crossing storage. I completely forgot about that. Let's go do that, why not? I forgot that we started doing that in one episode and then continued to never do that again. But yeah, that's what I remember from landline telephones. Never had a rotary phone. As far as I know. Do I know how to use a rotary phone? I do know how to use a rotary phone. I've never actually had to use one to practically call someone. I don't even know if it exists anymore. Like, do people still make them? Probably someone out there is making some vintage style furnishing or whatever and uses a rotary phone. I kind of forgot about rotary phones even existing, to be honest. Genuinely not something I thought about for ages. Why do we have so many garden chairs? What on earth? But yeah, rotary phones. It's like you put your finger in the hole with the number that you want, and then you drag it all the way to the end, and then you let go, and that dials in that number. And you had to do that over and over again for each number that you want to input into your phone number. Yeah, I'm not actually even sure. No, I'm not even sure if I've seen a rotary phone. Like in real life, like I've been to someone's house and they just like had a rotary phone instead of like a phone with buttons or something on it. I don't mean that in a bad way or anything, just thinking about it, I don't think I have. If you're wondering why I'm not selling the pirate barrels, I think those are kind of exclusive items. So I'm not going to sell duplicates of those because they're a bit harder to get. These ones you can just order off a catalogue. That also might be wrong, you might be able to just order a caliber item like that, but what do I know? Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm thinking back to my piano teacher, who was very old and probably was the most likely to have like old technology in his home and probably not have upgraded it. That's not even like meant to be a shot across the bow for him or anything. It's just more like it was just true. Like he had a fax machine, I remember that much. My pockets are full. Some of these might be counterfeit art, which I don't know if Nook's Cranny will accept, but we'll figure it out. If not, we'll just toss it in the bin. That's why we have a bin. But yeah, he had like a fax machine, I remember, in his home. He had one of the ones which was a fax machine combined with a phone on top. Did he ever use it? I have no idea. Obviously, I wasn't in his house except for to do piano lessons instead of like faxing lessons or something, but yeah, that just sort of comes to mind. Anyway, I don't even know if he had a rotary telephone. I think he had one with the buttons. I don't know when the button telephone even started existing. Why can you not just... Why is it even possible for you to select the fake pieces of art? I'm just saying, you know, Animal Crossing. Come on. Why make it so much more difficult? Because now I don't know which one of these are fake. Are these all fake? I don't know, I'm tossing all of them. They can all go in the bin for all I care. Real or fake. Tossing a real Mona Lisa in the trash because I don't know if it's real or fake. But yes. Can I toss multiple things at once? I don't actually know. I didn't even try for some reason. Nice. Yeah, what else about landline phones do I remember? I don't know, I feel like it's just that distinctive feeling of a buttons is what I'm going to remember about landline phones. And that's not even what people would picture for a landline phone. It was like a digital landline phone, if anything. I can't even remember what else to do, but I remember it's buttons as well. I feel like I even got the muscle memory of how to set the date and time, for whatever reason. Which of these are real? Which of these are fake? So the secondary ones are all fake. I don't know if a beauty one can even have a fake. So I think the statues are all real. This one's definitely fake. This is going to be an absolute pain to sell. Because there's going to be a mix of real ones and a mix of fake ones. You know what I should have done if I was smart? Is I should have done all the real ones first and then do all the fake ones. Because these look all fake. Oh, whatever. I guess if I did want a terracotta army, I would want to keep all of them, but I don't really, so... Anyway, landline phones. Yeah, I'm not sure, really. I think should we just toss them? If we can multi-select tossing, I'm just going to toss all of them. I'm going to be real with you. Actually, wait, hold on. Which ones did I think... I don't remember what Tremendous statue is. Rockhead statue. The Motherly statues can be fake. The informative ones were definitely fake. I don't think the gallant ones were fake. No, the gallant ones might be. Familiar? I don't know if a beauty one... I don't think a beauty one can be fake. Despite the fact I've got 6 of them or somehow in my inventory. I think those ones were all real. That's my Animal Crossing knowledge put to the test. Because who knows? Yes, what was I saying? Landline phones. And it's interesting we're going to be a thing of the past. Which honestly is fine, in my opinion. There's like, not really a lot that's going to be missed, in my personal opinion. No! Why can't you... How can you... Wait, how do you know they're fake? You should work in a museum. A beautiful statue can be fake? What? Are any of these real? I thought a Rockhead statue can't even be a fake. What? Or are they always fake now, after we've donated a real one to a museum? You know, whatever. You don't know the true value of art. Tommy Nook, I don't know which one I was speaking with. These are all going in the bin. Someone can have a fantastic art display just by looking in the bin and seeing all these postmodernist works in here. Actually, most of these are not at all postmodernist. I don't know why I said that, but I was just trying to think of an art movement. Most of it's ancient, to be honest. Anyway, not the point. The point being landline phones. I think of a past, and it's interesting to think about. Because I've not thought about them for ages. Like even... I must imagine it's reflected now in like... forms and stuff, where probably they won't even ask for you to... I was trying to see which one was a duplicate, which one's not. They won't even ask for like home and mobile anymore. Presumably they just put phone. I don't know if that's true, by the way. Like what? Homework. Home, comma, work, comma, mobile. But nowadays, most people I feel like just have a mobile number. I don't know anyone who still has a landline phone, mind you. Work phone, and I feel like it's probably even more common now than... Wait, is this a... No, that's... I don't think that's a wedding table setting. I think it's a regular table setting. Yeah, I feel like people having a work phone is probably even more common than having a landline home phone now. Don't you think? It's like rain. So many chocolate hearts. Why do we have so much coconut juice? Probably from crafting things. No! Who is it? Apollo. Apollo! You know I'm a fan of catchy songs with so many sirens gone. Looks like Odie's in my run. Okay, well, I guess we'll talk about landline phones a bit more now. Apollo has indefinitely extended the duration of this episode, unexpectedly. Actually, wait, I think you leave if I just talk to you a few times, right? I feel like playing a game, sure, let's play. I have no space in my inventory. I bet Apollo remembers landline phones. Because that's the personality of grumpy ones now, is they're just a boomer, aren't they? I'm trying to think of when the last time I've seen... You're going to mail me the prize? I didn't even know you would do that. What was I going to say? I forgot. I wish I had more to say about landline phones, but I feel like it's just a bit anticlimactic. They just kind of were a thing, you know. And at some point, I mean, probably even now, really, people are going to look at it and be like, wow, look at that old technology. They're going to be considered old. They probably already are considered old. And that's going to make a lot of people feel really old as well. It doesn't make me feel particularly old because, again, they weren't a big part of my life, I feel like. What's going to make me feel old is when people are going to be like, oh, you know, I don't know, I don't even know what makes me feel old. People being like, you're old. I guess I'd be like, oh, I'm old. Is that a bit of an anticlimactic thing to say? Maybe. I don't really know. Anyway, landline phones. Have a memory of them. But not enough to build up the nostalgic memories around them, I think. Maybe I'm just too accepting of the fact that, like, I'm getting old. I'm obviously not old. I'm like... well, it depends who you ask. If you ask a 6-year-old, I'm considered old. If you ask, like, a 40-year-old, they'll be like, what? You got your whole life ahead of you still. Such is the way of the nature of comparisons. You can only compare to, I suppose, a relative experience that you have. Anyway, on that note, we're going to round this episode off about landline phones. It wasn't even really about landline phones. But if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling, and likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.